Okay, Monday. Go ahead and get out your homework. All right, so you had 2 through 24 evens. Here we go. Check your work. Any number times 0 is 0, so number 2 is 0. Number 4 is negative 162. Number 6 is negative, trying to find it here, negative 1,288. Number 8, negative 1,292. Number 10, negative 49,134. Number 12, negative 11,984. Number 14, really big, negative 243,410. Number 16, remember any number times 0 is 0, so 16 is 0. Number 18, negative 26,350. Number 20, A is negative 80, and B is also negative 80. Number 22, A is negative 180, and B is negative 180. Guess what they're trying to tell you here? And the last one, number 24, A and B are both 0. Cool? All right. So this is what the calendar looks like. So we're on Monday. Next Monday will be a day off. Congratulations. We're going to continue on with our normal schedule. Notice we won't completely finish chapter 11. So we're not going to get to chapter 12 before the semester finals. We will cover that next year in course 2. The finals start that third week, so it's not that the only final is English. It goes on to that. We got one more week after this. That weekend also, the one after the English final, is a 3-day weekend. You have that holiday on Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be finals as well, too. So I believe it goes, let's see, Tuesday is science, Wednesday is Latin, Thursday is math, and then Friday is history. So that's how your final schedule will work. So the only one caution here is that notice, and I'm sure I'm not the only teacher that's going to give you final reviews. You're going to do a final review on that third week. For me, we'll do 2 full days of final reviews. I'll show you what the test will look like. I'll show you all the subjects that I'm going to cover. I'll give you a copy of the practice test that will be a near duplicate of the final test, right? Obviously different problems, but the same type of problems. So the one word of caution here is that we're going to review a week before the test. So we're going to review, look at the calendar, third week there. We're going to review on that Monday, Wednesday, and then on the next week on Thursday we will take our math final. So you're going to have many days in between when we do the review and you do your final. So my suggestion to you is, make darn sure you don't lose the material. And then 2, obviously you're going to need to review for your final before you take your final on that last week there. So for instance, if your math final is on Thursday, on Wednesday after you finish your Latin test, then I would just hit the books hard and review that practice test so that on Thursday you can do very well on your math final. Make sense? Okay. If you have any specific questions on, hey, what do you mean the final schedule? I didn't really understand what you meant. Send me an email. I'll be happy to explain it to you. So here's your homework for tonight. All right. What did we do in the last class? We multiplied 2 numbers where one of them was negative. So the obvious question is, well, what happens when you are multiplying with 2 negatives? That's what today's class is about. All right. Last class, we learned the rule for multiplying integers, and the rule was you have opposite sign. That was the half of the rules we learned. Opposite signs. That means when you're multiplying a positive times a negative, for instance, 4 times negative 2, or you multiply a negative times a positive, for instance, negative 2 times positive 4. So we'll call this when you're multiplying with opposite signs or different signs. And we learned that in both cases the answer is negative. The first one is negative 8, and so is the second one. And the rule basically says you multiply the 2 numbers, 4 times 2 is 8, and you attach a negative. That's when you're multiplying 2 numbers where one of them is negative. So obviously the question is, well, what happens when both numbers are negative? What do you get? So we are going to call this Same sign. So please write this down. This is going to be one part of your notes. We're going to have both rules, same and different signs or opposite signs. Okay, so we'll do same signs first. So same signs, you're either multiplying a positive times a positive, for instance, 4 times 2, or you're multiplying a negative times a negative, for instance, negative 2 times a negative 4. Now, if this is the rule for same signs, and well, the first one says 4 times 2, well, not to insult your intelligence, but I think we already know what the answer here is. What happens when you multiply numbers that have the same signs? You get a positive int. Now, we're talking about two numbers. All right, when you multiply two numbers whose signs are the same, that means they're either both positive or both negative. The answer is positive. So in both cases here, you get positive 8. So that's our new rule of today. I'll explain it here in a second of why that is. But we want to have both rules here written. So we also need to write down the opposite sign of the rules. That's the one that we did last night or the previous class for homework. That's where you have a positive times a negative, 4 times negative 2, or a negative times a positive, negative 2 times 4. And we found out the answer is negative. So that, ladies and gentlemen, those are the rules right there. And remember, we can't multiply 3 numbers together at the same time. We can only do 2 at a time. So these are the only rules that you need to multiply however many numbers you want to multiply. 5 numbers together, well, you got to do them 2 at a time. And you will always either be multiplying with same signs or opposite signs, right? That's the only possibilities there. Either the signs are the same or they're not the same. That means they're opposite. So if you can remember those 2 rules, same signs, the answer is positive. Opposite signs, the rule is negative. And most people don't have a problem with any of those rules except for the one that says a negative times a negative is a positive. Because we know that for subtraction, negative 2 minus 6 does not result in a positive number. Negative 2 minus 6 ends up being negative 8. But it turns out that negative 2 times negative 4 is a positive 8. I mean, why? Why does that happen? So I'm going to explain it the same way I did the last class. Let's just go through all the possibilities. 2 times 3. Well, when you first learned about multiplication, your third grade teacher explained it as this is 2 groups of 3, right? 2 groups of 3 gives me a 6, right? Your third grade teacher didn't mention anything about negatives, but we can multiply a positive times a negative. 2 times negative 3 would be 2 groups of negative 3. So, well, clearly that's negative 6. Do you understand the visual representation of that, right? And then yesterday I said that since multiplication is commutative, that next one there we could call that as 3 groups of negative 2. But I'm going to change it up today. I'm going to show you another explanation of that same problem, right? Remember that first sign there can be read as negative 2 or subtract 2. It's kind of up to you. And subtraction, right, is the opposite of addition. So we could say that is the opposite of 2 groups of 3. Well, 2 groups of 3 is 6, and the opposite of positive 6 is a negative 6. So there's another explanation of why a negative times a positive is also a negative. And I'm going to use that same explanation for the final one, with why is a negative times a negative a positive. Well, let's see. That first minus sign will read as the opposite. So that's the opposite of 2 groups of negative 3. Well, 2 groups of negative 3, that's 2 groups of negative 3, that's negative 6. So what's the opposite of negative 6? Positive 6. Well, that's, ladies and gentlemen, why a negative times a negative is a positive. That's one of many different explanations, the one that I like the most. Okay, what do you need to remember? Positive times a negative is negative. Negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, so these are the rules. Now in yellow there is my shortcut explanation, or I should say rules. So if you're multiplying with same signs, the answer is positive. And if you were multiplying with opposite signs, the answer is negative. You see that in yellow right there? So same signs, the answer is positive. Opposite signs, the answer is negative. The multiplication is just the straight up multiplication. So for instance, this first one, well, I know 3 times 4 is 12. But is it positive 12 or negative 12? Well, let's see. Do I have same signs or do I have opposite signs? Well, the 3 is positive, the 4 is negative. There's opposite signs, so I know the answer is negative. And I already know that 3 times 4 is 12. Therefore, it's got to be negative 12. If you need to hear that again, rewind and hear that again. The second one, well, I know 4 times 4 is 16, and I'm multiplying same or opposite signs. Well, a negative times a negative would be same signs. That's a negative 4 and a negative 4. They have the same signs. Well, the rule says same signs, the answer is positive, so the answer is positive 16. Catch on? Let's do some more. Well, I know 2 times 4 is 8. So is it going to be positive 8 or negative 8? Well, let's see. Am I multiplying with same or opposite signs? That's a negative 2 and a negative 4. Those both have the same signs, negative, right? Therefore, the answer is, ironically enough, positive. Okay, why? Because same signs, the answer is always positive. This is the biggest one to wrap your head out around. Why is a negative times a negative a positive? All right. Last one there. Let's see. 1 times 4 is 4. Is it positive 4 or negative 4? Do I have same or opposite signs? Well, I got a positive 1 and a negative 4. Therefore, that's opposite signs. Therefore, the answer is negative. Literally, is that it? Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's it. That's the whole rules right there. If you did those 4 examples right there, you've got this. How about we do some practice together? Okay. All right. So pause the video when I read it, come up with the answer yourself, and then play the video, see if you got the answer. All right. Upper left one first. Let's see. 5 times 4 is 20. Do I have same or opposite signs? I got same signs. Both are negative, therefore it's positive 20. Next one down. 4 times 7 is 28. Do I have same or opposite signs? Well, 4 is positive, 7 is negative. That's opposite signs, so negative 28. What is anything times 0? Well, it's 0. And you're like, well, how come I can't, shouldn't it be negative 0? Well, remember, 0 is neither positive nor negative, so we don't use this rule. We use the rule that says that it's the product property of 0. Anything times 0 is 0. Last one on the left side there. 10 times 4 is 40. Do we have same or opposite signs? A positive 10, opposite signs. One's positive, one's negative, so the answer's got to be negative. Upper right, opposite signs, so the answer's negative. 11 times 6 is 66, so negative 66. Next one down, same signs, negative times a negative, so the answer's going to be positive. 5 times 5 is 25. Next one, hey, same signs, so the answer's going to be positive. 9 times 2 is 18. Last one, opposite signs. The first one's negative, the second one's positive. 4 times 12 is 48, so therefore negative 48. Yeah, we got it? Is there anything complicated? Right, well, let's do some more complicated ones. All right, so here are the more complicated ones. Let's see. We got 3 numbers that are multiplied together. You can't multiply 3 numbers together, so we have to follow PEMDAS. And remember, PEMDAS says do all the parentheses first, then do the exponents, and then do multiplication and division from left to right. So we're going to go from left to right. When you go from left to right, you can multiply 2 numbers together. The first 2 numbers together, 3 times negative 4. What's 3 times negative 4? Right? 3 is positive, 4 is negative, so opposite signs, the answer is negative. 3 times 4 is 12, so we get negative 12, but don't forget, we haven't multiplied 3 numbers together. We've just done 2 of those numbers, so I still have that times 2. Okay, we'll complete this. Negative 12 times 2, those are opposite signs. The answer is negative. 12 times 2 is 24, so negative 24. You got that? Maybe we need to do another one. When you're multiplying 3 or more together, and there's just multiplication, just go left to right. I mean, that's what PEMDAS says, right? Order of operations. So let's see. The first 2 numbers going left to right are negative 3 times negative 4. Those have the same signs. They're both negative, so the answer is positive. So negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. Times that last number, 2. Well, 12 times 2, if you need to use the rule, those are same signs. So the answer is positive, so positive 24. Or you should know that 12 times 2 is 24. How about if they're all negative? What's going to be the answer? Well, let's see. PEMDAS says go left to right. Negative 3 times negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 4. Same signs. Negative times a negative is a positive. So 3 times 4 is 12. Times that negative 2. See what I did there? All right. 12 times negative 2, that's opposite signs. A positive times a negative is a negative. So negative 24. Catching on? All right. Once again, pause the video, get to the answer, and then play the video and see if you got the same answer that I got. All right. 3 numbers multiply together. We got to use PEMDAS and go left to right. The one on the left there first. So the first 2 numbers are 1 times negative 4. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Why? A positive times a negative is a negative. Times that 2. A negative times a positive, the opposite signs is a negative. So we get negative 8. The middle one. Going from left to right, -2 times -4, same signs, gives me a +8. 8 times 3 is 24, same signs. Last one, left to right, -3 times -4. Those are same signs. -3 times -4 is a +12. +12 times -2. Opposite signs, so the answer is negative, -24. Yeah? Is there anything more complicated? Oh, yes. Let's throw some addition. So now we're going to use the rules of multiplication and addition. Now, I don't have the rule of multiplication there. That rule there in yellow is just the multiplication rule. So we got to think back to our addition subtraction rules. PEMDAS says you got to do what's in parentheses first. I got parentheses. 7 plus -2. 7 plus -2. Remember the rule for addition, right? Opposite signs, you're going to subtract. Big minus small. 7 minus 2 is 5. We got more positives, so the answer is +5. Now we got multiplication. Negative times a positive is a negative, so -15. That's complicated. That's that you absolutely have to have your rules of addition, subtraction, and multiplication strong. All right, this is as complicated as it gets. As complicated as it gets. All right. So PEMDAS says we got to do what's in parentheses first. So let's do what's in parentheses first. And then we got multiple things, so we got to go from left to right. So let's see. Inside parentheses on the left there, it says -3 times -2. Negative times a negative is a positive, same signs. So -3 times 2 is a +6. So it would be 6 plus what we get in the other parentheses. 7 times -2. So those are opposite signs. 7 times -2 is -14. Do you see where I'm getting those numbers from? Notice I haven't done the addition yet. Now we can do the addition. Are we adding same signs or different signs? Notice different rules than multiplication, right? So this one is, we're adding different signs, so we need to do subtraction, big minus small. 14 minus 6 is 8. Do we have more negatives or more positives? We got more negatives, -14, so therefore the answer is -8. Wow, that one was complicated. So let's do 2 of those. All right, go ahead and pause the video, work these 2 out, and let's see if we get the same answers. All right, let's try these. One on the left. PEMDAS says we got to do what's in parentheses first. So -2 plus -2. Same or different signs? All right, those are the same signs. Now, we're not using that rule in yellow there. Remember, that's the rule for multiplication. We're doing addition here. The rule for addition says you add the absolute value of both numbers. In other words, add the 2 numbers. 2 plus 2 is 4, and we use the original sign. The original sign was negative, so -4. Okay? Now we do the multiplication rule. Now we're going to use the rule in yellow there, right? We got same signs. That means the answer is positive. Negative times a negative is a positive. 5 times 4 is 20, so the answer is 20. Last one. Got to do parentheses first, so I'm going to go from left to right. 4 times -2. Different signs, so the answer is negative. 4 times -2 is -8. Plus 3 times -5. Different signs. 3 is positive, 5 is negative. Different signs means the answer is negative. 3 times -5 is -15. So I got -8 plus -15. All right, forget the multiplication rules. What are the addition rules? The addition rules say that if you're adding same signs, you add the absolute value of both numbers. The absolute value of both numbers would be 8 and 15. 8 plus 15 is 23. And since we were adding negative numbers, the answer is negative. Okay, those last 2 were very challenging. There's a few of those tonight for homework. Remember the multiplication rules. Same signs, the answer is positive. Opposite signs, the answer is negative. And for a few of them, kind of the last ones there, you're also going to have to remember your addition subtraction rules. So refer to your notes. All right, so that'll conclude class for Monday. Do your homework. If you need any help, send me an email. I'd love to help you. If not, I will see you guys on Wednesday.